So I'm Hari Shankar. I'm the product head of Zoho Flow, and I've been with the company for over 16 plus years. And I'll be joined by Melanie, who is from Alps Education. She's a customer of Zoho Flow, and she would share her story later during the session. In today's session, we are going to see the issues that happens when apps don't talk to each other, when apps are not integrated. We'll then have a small demo of the product, and I will take you through a few use cases of Zoho Flow, and then we'll have Melanie join us. A study shows that an organization uses around 1,000 plus different applications. That's a huge number, right? But the main issue in that is that only 28% of them are integrated to each other. That's a very small number. The rest of the applications don't talk to each other, which means their data are siloed, and the business process itself is taken for a toss. Let's see the hidden costs of disconnected data. Of course, many of you know the issues that happens when apps don't integrate, but anyway, I thought I would still take you through the issues that happens when apps are not connected. You are all familiar with this, right? You got the same customer information across different applications. You got the sales application, you got the marketing application. They all have the same customer information. But then they are not same, basically. The data in them are not having the same structure. In one application, you got the first name, last name as separate fields. In the other applications, you got them as a single field. The structure itself is different. You got different date formats. You got different phone number formats as well, which means even though the data is same, they are not the same. And this is the second issue, wherein you got the same customer, but then because the teams themselves add data to them individually, the data itself is different for each of those applications. The same customer, but the truth is different across different applications. And the third one, which is, we kind of understand that we have got different applications having the same customer information. At the same time, the kind of data that they deal with is different across the different applications. For example, the sales application has got the details of the sales process, like the deals and all of that. The support application deals with the tickets, etc. And the problem is not restricted to only the customer information. I just picked customer information as one example, but the problem is across different modules, different kinds of data, like you got the tickets, you got the orders, etc. And the main issue that I wanted to highlight here was that the teams are blind to the big picture because of this. What do I mean by this? The sales team, they don't understand what's happening on the support side. The support team doesn't know what's happening on the sales side. So what happens is that they miss the big picture. They don't have a full picture of the customer. For example, a support team ought to know the deal size of the customer so that they can give higher priority, right? That's the issue with having the apps not connected to each other. That is why one story matters, wherein you have got all the data, relevant data synced up. You have got proper workflows across all of them. And once the data is same, you have got the teams aligned to each other. You have got the operation smooth. And it obviously aids to the growth of the business. And of course, you don't want to just integrate. Integration is different from automation, wherein you don't want to repeat the same things again and again. You want to automate them at the right point of time. You want to decide when you want to trigger the automation, when you want to push the data across the applications. That is why you need to automate as well. And that is why you need something like a bridge, right? That connects applications and it bridges your data. And that is Zoho Flow for you. Zoho Flow is an integration platform that helps you to connect your applications. And it automates your business workflows. And we have got 1,000+ applications. Okay? Some of the applications, popular applications in 70+ categories. We can name them. The third parties, I will name the third parties. We have got HubSpot, we have got Slack, we have got Asana, etc., across the different categories. And Zoho Flow supports not just cloud applications, integration of cloud applications, but also on-premises applications as well. You can integrate your cloud-to-cloud application, for example, Slack and Asana. Or we also have on-prem applications, in which case you can connect your HubSpot to your on-prem database as well, such as a PostgreSQL or MySQL database. And the way it works is that we use something called an on-prem agent. This is not the AI agent, by the way. You install the on-prem agent inside your firewall, in one of the systems, and it establishes the connectivity to Zoho Flow and to the rest of the applications as well. Zoho Flow works with the notion of a trigger, a single trigger, and multiple actions, a sequence of actions. And it also has workflow elements such as the decision. You can have multiple different conditions as well, and branch out as needed. So let's have a demo, small demo of Zoho Flow. Okay. So this is how it looks like. So we are going to integrate Begin and Slack, so let me go to Begin. Can you switch the demo, please? Yeah, thank you. Then I will have Slack as well. Okay, so let me create a small workflow here. So we got the creation screen here. Okay, do you want me to try Zia? Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, whenever a pipe is stage is closed, send a private channel message in Slack. Of course, I need to mention that in Begin, the keys are different here. Okay, let's see if it works. Oh, it worked. Okay. So it creates a template with whatever you have given. So then you can go and configure each of the tasks. So I'm configuring the trigger here. You're able to see this? So there is something called as connection that you have to create so that Flow can get the data from Begin. So let's create a connection here. Begin, okay. Begin connection. So I'm choosing all the triggers and actions wherein the connection will have access to all of them. I'm authorizing. I'm choosing the organization and submitting it. Okay, the connection is created. And now you can see that this particular trigger works for closed status of the pipeline. And I'm going to choose closed one in this particular case, which means it will filter only those pipeline stages. and then click connect. Now let us configure the Slack as well, similar to the same. So I'll choose one of the connections, and then I'll choose one of the existing channels that I have in Slack, a new deal 1. And then on the right-hand side, we have got all the fields that come from begin. So you can choose one of the fields that whatever fields you want to map, you can map all of them. I'm choosing the account name here. Click done, and then done here. You can then switch on the flows. Okay, so the flow is switched on. Now we will go to begin. Then we will make one of the records as closed one. Okay, the record is changed to closed one. Okay, we have to go to Slack first. Okay, it's already there. Okay, let me go to. Yeah, you can see the John Smith, right? Right, so it has worked. So in Zoho Flow, you can see the entire execution history as well. So you can see the task history. You see that it is completed here. And you click on that, you can get to see the actual data that has passed. So the first one is the trigger. You click on that, you can get the full data of the trigger itself. And here you can see the mapping that has happened as the flow executes. And on the output is what the API returns from the Slack, right? So what else can you do in Zoho Flow? I showed you a small snippet of a simple flow between a trigger and action. But you can see on the left-hand side, you can see a number of actions here. You've got 1,000+ applications on the left panel. You can see the apps and logic and Zia here, wherein the first one is the apps. The logic part, it gives you more workflow elements for you to use in your workflow. For example, you can use a decision in between, and you can filter the data, and you can have multiple conditions and then choose a different branch. For example, let us take a small example here. What I will do is I'll delete this. Okay. And then I'll say the amount is greater than, let's say, 10,000. Okay. And of course, we need to change this. And what do I want to do when the amount is more than 10,000? I would like to use Slack itself, but I want to choose a different channel. So send private channel message. And here, I again connect to the same account. But here, I choose a different channel. And then I put the message. Again, the key. Account name, probably. Right? So this is how you can add more elements to your workflow, make it more robust. And you've got other elements as well in logic, such as the delay, which helps you to pause the workflow for some time. Suppose you want to reach out to have regular follow-ups, and you may want to reach out to them for every 7 days or something like that. So delay, you can use delay and then say 7 days, and then it can delay the process for 7 days and then resume it again. Similarly, you got the subflow, wherein suppose your workflow is very huge and it contains the same set of actions repeating again and again. You can create a subflow and then call it as a child flow from your parent flow. And then what else we have got here? We have got a new feature, which is a send webhook. Of course, I will be talking about it again. And then you can use custom functions, wherein you can add your own logic using Deluge, and then insert them as tasks within your workflow. And we have got commands and scripts, which is an on-premise connector. How many of you have on-premises applications in your setup? Right, quite a few of you have that. So you can actually integrate with them because those applications need not be part of Zoho Flow. you still can do with the help of webhook as well as the commands and scripts. You can write a small code inside your network that the agent can call and then execute the other system as well. Can we go back to the slides, please? Yeah. So let me give you 3 use cases that you can use for Zoho Flow, Zoho Flow for across the spectrum of the customer journey, entire customer journey. The first one is the customer onboarding journey, right? So in an onboarding journey, typically, you will have multiple sessions with your customers, right? And you will be using a number of applications for that. You may be using a webinar application. You may be using some sort of a scheduling application, such as bookings or Calendly, a number of email follow-ups as well. And you need to integrate all of them so that you know at what stage the particular customer is. You may have different stages as well for your sessions. The first one could be a basic session. The second one could be somewhat advanced. Third one could be really advanced. And then you really want to know the status of your customer, how deep are they into the onboarding journey. So for that, you can use Zoho Flow to bring all the data into your CRM system and then tag them properly to your customer. And how you do it is that you create separate flows, one for each application based on the necessary triggering factors. And then you create the flows, and then you push them to CRM. The next use case I am going to speak about is the customer health scoring. And now that the customer is onboarded, you would really like to know, and I mean, as part of the journey in using your product, it could be your service, whatever it is, you may like to know their health score, right? How active are they using your product or service? It doesn't need to be applicable only for software services like what we are doing, but it can also be applicable to any hardware as well, wherein you can have some sort of a custom code that can call Zoho Flow and then send the data. So the idea is that you centralize all the activities of the customer, find out ways to gather that information, and then push it to CRM. So I showed you the app trigger, right? There are other bunch of triggers that you can use across Zoho Flow. I have showed you the 3 important ones. The first one is the webhook trigger, wherein the flow has a unique URL to which you can post the data. And the second one is a URL trigger, which is the reverse of webhook, wherein in the case of webhook trigger, you push the data to flow. But in the case of URL trigger, we keep polling the data from the URL that you give, and on a regular basis, like 5 minutes, etc. And the third one is an email trigger, wherein many of the processes, they have email communication. And you can forward all those emails to Zoho Flow, and you can extract information from that email and then start your workflow and execute them. The third one I want to discuss is the invoicing and renewals. Okay? And this is kind of when the customer is already there and they have different pricing structures. Most of that involves manual effort because you don't, I mean, it depends on the pricing structure of the customer. It can have a business logic involved as well. You may have your accounting team doing it as a manual work, right? For example, you may like to have multiple invoices for your customer, or you may decide to have a single invoice. All it has multiple business logics involved as well. And when you say manual effort, it also comes up with the idea that it is error-prone, right? So that is where we have got powerful workflow elements for you to use in your workflow. The idea is that you need to figure out your business logic and then lay out how it has to work. And then once you are able to do that, you can convert it into the flows, the logic of flows. So you have got the decision, which I showed you already. Custom functions, again, you can write your own deluge script. and call it as part of your workflow. Delays I explained. And then error branch, which I didn't explain during my demo, but the error branch is that whenever tasks fail, you can have recovery as well for that. Now let me give you some product updates. How many of you know that we have SAP S/4HANA connection? Okay, this is a recent update that we did, wherein it helps you to integrate with your ERP system, SAP S/4HANA systems as well, which is on-prem as well as the cloud, right? We also have integration with the SAP HANA database as well. And one thing I wanted to highlight here is that the S/4HANA integration uses the OData connector, OData API. And I mentioned about the webbook action, wherein you can call external APIs. Till now, it was possible only using custom functions, but now you can use the pre-built action. This is similar to Postman, as you can see the screen, right? You can give the URL, you can enter the parameters, etc., and then it can call the API. And one thing to note here is that this supports the on-prem integration as well. Unlike other places wherein it's restricted to cloud, you can integrate, suppose you have a system on-prem that has an API, web API, but then you want to integrate that, you can use this to integrate. And we also have extensive support for different authentication mechanisms in the webbook case, such as the OAuth or the API key, different basic authentications, etc. And I showed you a small snippet of AI in Zoho Flow. So we have got 3 different types of categories in the case of AI. The first one is authoring the workflow, which I showed you. Of course, we are also working on the AI chatbot inside the builder that can help you to augment your workflows through prompt. The second case is utilities, wherein we provide pre-built utilities or functionalities which you can use as part of your workflow. One example could be generating an essay, right? The third one is an agent capability. I'll explain that. So this we already saw, wherein you give the prompt and it generates the workflow. You can keep generating, you can keep refining your prompt and then generate, and then you can create the workflow. The second one is an utility, wherein we have given a collection of utilities for you to use, such as the generate essay. You can, for example, in this particular example, what we are doing is when the deal is won, we are getting the country and the industry of that deal, and then we are generating a checklist for the deal using one of the available functionalities. So as this scrolls, you can see that there are multiple functionalities. For example, email generation, like checklist, generating a checklist. You can see that the checklist would be visible here. Isn't it cool? The third one is the agent capability, wherein when you create a workflow till now, you would be dragging and dropping each action according to your use case. But in this particular case, what you can do is you can pre-configure some of the actions and then let AI choose one of them dynamically during the execution. For example, in this particular case, the use case is that you have a Slack message, and then you have got the agent that creates a lead. Of course, you have got multiple different applications, multiple different tasks that have been pre-configured. And you can also let AI choose how to map the fields, and then switch on the flow. OK, so when you give the prompt that it has to create a lead, the agent would choose one of the pre-configured actions which matches the prompt, and then it executes it. Right? And then, how many of you use Zero? Yeah, cool. This has been a most sought-after application, but due to different reasons, we have not been able to do it. But now we are coming up with Zero, will be rolling out in some time. And now the interesting part of this session. We have got a customer who would like to speak about Zoho Flow, share their story. And in fact, the 3 use cases I mentioned till now, right, they are all not imaginary use cases I took for this session, but rather they are actual use cases implemented by them. I would like to invite Melanie here from Alps Education. Please give a big round of applause for her. Thank you, Melanie.
Hi.
It's your stage.
My stage?
Yep.
Okay, pressing this button. Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Murphy, and I work for Alps Education, a company that was founded more than 20 years ago, and we provide students student analysis, data and training to schools and colleges across the world to improve student performance and student outcomes. The company moved over to a SaaS model around 5 years ago, and its requirements for customer data management and processes changed, leading to Zoho One being chosen as the solution. I come from a marketing and web design background, and over time, my responsibilities moved over to the management of Zoho One apps in a previous setting. And around 2 years ago, I joined Alps Education to help them with their journey and to bridge the gap between our engineering team and our commercial teams and improve our business processes and data analysis. So why did we choose Flow? So we had, oh, I can't see my notes. We had disconnected data across various modules within the software that we sell, and we needed a real-time data sync between our customer data within our software and what we had in our CRM system to be able to have intervention with customers that are maybe not using things as they should. And as well, we needed simple decision trees, custom functions use, and a system that was easy to debug, that had good error handling, so that it's not just reliant on one person, and we can share the information across the teams and have a better flow of information. So, our best practices. We love to use process maps, and oh my God, sorry, I just got really nervous and I've forgotten everything that I wanted to say. Okay, big things for best practice within our company. Using process mapping to look at all of the different touch points across the data and the requests that are coming in. So not just what has been requested by the person, but the information, where else will it become useful? So somebody wants login data for somebody wants login data for our health score, and they want to see when the last time somebody logged in for to use as part of our scoring system, but also this is useful for our finance team as well. So if for any reason they can't get hold of anyone, contacts, emails change, etc., we can use the information that is in the contacts module to see last logins, admin users, and various other bits of information that we collect from our software, and use that to get in touch with the right people so that we're not just getting a dead end on various things. What else? Reusable components. So looking at every process, what is reusable in other places, not making things too complex, trying to give things multiple use cases so that we can go back and review them more easily. And then also a big one is that we have an automations account. So we have an extra user called Zoho Admin, and everything that we put through Flow, we use our Zoho Admin account in order to do that. So wherever you're looking at an audit trail across any of the CRM, any of the other apps that we're using, we know that it came through from an automation rather than user error or user management because it's come from the Zoho Admin account. The other thing that we do is we really utilize Zoho Learn, and it's a really good place for us to put our flow processes, explain everything in detail, and it helps with business continuity, so that there is always someone that's able to go in and look back at all of the things that we've done. And then we have regular reviews to double check that we're doing things in the best way, because as Zoho improves and we improve, and when we improve and our knowledge improves of Zoho, we can always go back and update things that maybe we were doing the long way, and now we figured out maybe we can write a little custom function that does things slightly easier. There's new tools that they've added in, and we can use those to have simpler workflows. Okay, so some of the things that we've done with Zoho Flow. We improved our customer experience. We had a 60% increase in onboarding completion because we used Zoho Flow in order to map our bookings information over to our CRM and have automations that ran to tell us exactly which of our meetings had been completed, had all of the emails running, and it closed the loop on the information between CRM, bookings, the customer sending us the information back, running through Flow so that none of these meetings were missed, as the information just wasn't connected in the right way before. Another thing is we saved over 100 hours annually for invoicing and renewals. This was a huge thing for our customer success team, for our finance team, going through all of the various different contracts and subscriptions that we had. And Zoho Flow has enabled us to automate almost that entire process. Everything is checked and sent out so much faster than it was before, and it means that those peak times across our year can be better spent in other areas. And then our overall business health, we've had a 50% reduction in reports preparation time. So our CEO is very, very happy with us, because all of the information that we've got running through Flow means that we can provide reports really, really quickly to her. And all of the information is live, it's up to date, and it's impactful. So yeah, and we've improved customer satisfaction and retention using all of these things. So, does anyone have any questions? Oh.
No questions?
Oh, there's one up there.
Here you go. Good catch. No, I'll bring it round.
Have you had any issues with date fields, pushing data across multiple apps?
Yeah. So I write a lot of functions to process some of those data fields. So sometimes what we're getting in from our software that we sell, sometimes stuff from apps that we use outside of Zoho and even within Zoho. So I tend to write custom functions to process them in the way that I need them to be at the end point, which might sound scary to some users, but Deluge is very, very easy to pick up, and support are very, very helpful when it comes to creating those custom functions where you can process everything in one place and spit out a map of the data exactly how you need it.
Okay, great, thank you.
And in some cases, you can actually, when you map the date fields, date values, you can give the format right there during the configuration itself, and we would be able to take care. And if it doesn't work, probably you can go for the Deluge approach that she mentioned.
Any other questions?
Hiya. You mentioned in the best practices slide about having a separate, I can't remember what you called it, but like a separate user for,
Yes.
so that you knew about Flow. I just wondered if you could talk in a little bit more detail about that and how beneficial it was.
Yes, absolutely. So we have various ways of data entering our CRM system. And when we were going through audit trails and looking back over previous bits of information, previous admin throughout, you would see that so-and-so user had done something, so-and-so user had done something else. And within Zoho Flow, you log in to create connections for different apps. So you would log into, say, an Outlook account if you want to send emails through it. You would log into whatever app account it is that you are using within your flow. And so one thing that we did, my role is specifically Zoho, so anything that I'm doing doesn't tend to be stuff that's for a customer anyway, but we really wanted to make sure that when you're looking through that audit trail, you know that it's not, say, Callum on our customer success team hasn't just randomly changed a specific bit of information in order to for whatever reason, it wasn't him. We want to know that it came through the automations account, so we log into and create those connections within Flow, set up our flows where it's the Zoho admin user doing them, and then in the audit trail, it's specific, like in CRM, it will say, the login was updated by Zoho admin at such and such a time. And as well, if there's any error in that data, so for whatever reason, if something's come through and it's incorrect, or maybe we need to backdate a bit of information, when you're looking at it, you can filter by anything done by Zoho admin. In our case, it's zoho.admin at Alps. Check the timestamps on those things and figure out where it came from, and then you can search through your flows, through that audit trail to see what triggered and when and why that happened. And it's far easier than looking at a bit of information and going, oh my gosh, that's wrong, and I don't know I don't know who's done it, I don't know what's happened, etc., etc. So yeah, it's been massively beneficial in that respect. And then the blame isn't on any one person. It's on, well, me technically, because Zoho admin is my account. I hope that answers it.
Right. Okay, so I think we are good. How many of you are going to use Zoho Flow from here on out? Only a few? I don't see the full audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you very much.